Well, he's been on a tear.
Yep. His opponent, Simon Stahl, playing blue-white control.
And an excellent weekend for Simon as well. It's looked like this weekend has definitely favored the blue-white control decks instead of the Esper decks.
Yeah, we've had a lot of successful blue-white on camera. And to me, it feels, in part because the metagame is sped up a little bit, maybe you don't want to be having as many temples as you in your deck as you wanted perhaps a month ago.
There's also just a little bit less control as a whole. I mean, we've seen a fair bit of it under camera as it's been doing very well. But when everybody, when you don't have to face as many mirror matches, you can afford to get away without, having Thoughtseize quite as much.
So players about to get started here. Simon Stahl, 6th overall seed.
Yeah, he does have a very reasonable blue-white deck for the black matchup, having access to things like divination, and he's not exactly short on Obsidat answers, or not Obsidat answers, Desecration Demon answers, or Night Veil Spectre answers.
2 main deck Last Breaths as well. So players about to get started. Again, Lauren will be on the play. And what he's looking for here is a hand that gives him a path to Underworld Connections.
Yeah, I mean, that is his primary game plan against these blue-white decks, is strip their hand and Underworld Connect.
So it appears that Lauren is keeping a 1-lander here. 2 copies of Thoughtseize.
Interesting. He's on
Underworld
the play.
Connections.
And he is on the play here, right?
Yep.
Keeping the 1-land hand on the play here is so aggressive.
2 Thoughtseizes and a Connections is pretty hard to get away from. And Simon is mulliganing, making those Thoughtseizes even better.
I love it. I feel like this is the no hesitation 1-land keep.
Yeah. The Paul Reedsel 1-lander.
Just,
if I'm going to mulligan hands like this, why would I even bother showing up? I believe is what Paul said to me once when I saw him at Grand Prix Albuquerque. Keep a hand very similar to this one.
okay.
A 1-lander on the play. If I'm going to mulligan that, why would I even show up?
Yeah, America's golden child, Paul Reedsel. But having a pretty good year.
Mm-hmm. So Lauren elects not to Thoughtseize on turn 1, waiting until turn 2, sees a hand of 3 lands, Fated Retribution, Dissolve, and Supreme Verdict. And I like waiting on the Thoughtseize there. Give him one more draw step to find something good. He's playing blue-white control, so there's nothing really threatening he's going to deploy on the first turn.
Yeah, we're not exactly in a rush here.
So Lauren goes ahead and takes the Dissolve. And no second land.
Now, if you're Lauren, do you hit with the second duress now, or the second Thoughtseize now? Or do you wait?
I think you wait one more turn.
Give him one more chance to see if he draws that Sphinx or Jace?
Yep, exactly.
And he does. Wow. This is just the way that, this is the way they talk about it in the textbooks.
Yep. All right, there's a second land for Lauren. Deciding between this Pack Rat and this Thoughtseize. Goes with Thoughtseize.
And he is rewarded for his discipline.
Simon has picked up a Jace alongside an Azorius Charm. Goes ahead and selects the Jace.
He does not cycle the Azorius Charm.
He did not do it on the previous turn either.
Yeah.
There is a Pack Rat from Lauren. No third land.
And now it says it's time to cash in the chips.
And there's an Aetherling, so he does have a path perhaps to just resolve a very fast Aetherling this game.
And he does leave the Jace on top. A little bit of card advantage is definitely what he needs to try to gain even more advantage over the mana-stunted Nolen.
A third land for Nolen. Attacks to the pack rat. No blocks from Simon.
Now he knows Stahl has both Supreme Verdict and Fated Retribution, so he's not going to push on this pack rat very hard.
Gonna go with Underworld Connections instead. And here's Jace, Architect of Thought. Quickly minuses, reveals Syncopate, Sphinx's Revelation in a land.
Sphinx versus the other two.
And Simon says, I'll take Sphinx's Revelation. So again, Nolen, aware of Supreme Verdict in Simon's hand, how does that sculpt his play?
Well, he does have Hero's Downfall, so he could just take the cop, but the problem is that Sphinx's Revelation is going to be a real problem. Looks like he decides he might as well just give himself a shot at a Thoughtseize.
Does not find a Thoughtseize, but does find a fourth land. Pack rat going at Jace. And Nolen's going to go ahead and discard a pack rat. Nolen's got to be thrilled with this.
I mean, the prospect of trading a random card in his hand for the Mutavault was definitely appealing. I mean, that's one less card that the Revelations will draw.
Yeah. Surprised at the speed with which Simon blocked there. I mean, his lands with Aetherling and Sphinx's Revelation feel like his lands are very valuable.
So much so that in this spot, he actually keeps two cards, including a land, over a Revelation.
So there's that Temple. Hallowed Fountain leaves it on top and sends the turn back. Nolen draws another pack rat. Activates Connections. Finds another Connections.
Both players having access to a lot of cards. Both players a little bit choked on mana.
Yeah. Nolen especially so.
Nolen choosing to keep the one-lander. Simon choosing to throw away one of his lands to a block. So both players have kind of done this to themselves. Taking calculated risks.
Keep in mind also, Fated Retribution in Simon's hand. Nolen's aware of that too, so
Yep.
very hard for Nolen to progress his board at this point. Draws Hallowed Fountain. So Simon has some options here. Could deploy Aetherling with mana up. Could also cast Fated Retribution or hold up Fated Retribution. Could hold up Sphinx's Revelation and dissolve. A lot of action that he has access to here.
Yeah, a lot of possible lines of play. And he does leave the land untapped, threatening both Sphinx's Revelation and Fated Retribution. Supreme Verdict with dissolve. So, Stahl, kind of the driver's seat.
Yep. A lot of tools to work with. I mean, the Aetherling and the Sphinx's Revelation give him two very powerful paths right now.
On the other side of it, Nolen, not really a lot of clear ways to move forward. I mean, all he can really keep doing is drawing cards as hard as he can, trying to find some land.
Yeah, I mean, lands and discard spells. That's
Yeah.
the stuff he's looking for right now.
But he is kind of far away from actually being able to put these spells to good use.
Yep. Drawing 2 cards a turn really only matters once you can start casting 2 cards a turn.
Right.
And here's the Desecration Demon. And this feels like a pretty juicy dissolve target.
Yeah, I mean, I think it depends. Like, it's very possible he just wants to Faded Retribution and get rid of the connections anyway. In which case, he'd want to leave the demon.
Gonna hit it with Solve. Tension Sphere on top. Simon says that's fine. Does Simon want to deploy the Aetherling? Still wants to wait.
Yeah. Faded Retribution, I apologize. Not the answer to connections he's looking for, but...
Draws a card with connections.
Such a different game while he's drawing these Bile Blights instead of Duresses. You know, when he draws Devour Flesh instead of Erebos.
Yeah, this is the edge that you spoke of game one for the blue-white player. Loren can get connections online, but not necessarily draw gas every turn.
Right.
And there's a Pack Rat. And here's a Revelations for 4. Finds 3 lands and a Celestial Flare.
Yep. Not a lot right now, but it does mean his next... but he does draw the Sphinx this turn instead of 4 turns later. Funny how card draw works like that.
It's a combo with other card drawing spells.
Yes, it definitely is.
So Simon, I think, was ready to discard here. Loren's going to make a Pack Rat. Hand jammed up with quite a bit of removal right now. Couple copies of Grey Merchant. But Simon at a pretty healthy life total right now. And here come the rats. Simon contemplating perhaps using Faded Retribution right now. Again, Loren knows about it, so it's going to be hard for him to squeeze a lot out of it. And now does Loren just move to discard again? Not a lot of advantage to playing more stuff in the face of this Faded Retribution.
No. No, Faded Retribution, obviously a little slow to get, to get online, but the fact that it can be used at instant speed gives Simon a lot of flexibility right here.
Loren contemplating, do I want to cast another Connections? Do I want to just discard?
Playing another Connections here can be so risky too, just because of the Tension Sphere. I mean, he needs to be connecting just to be in this one at this point. Simon has Sphinxed so hard.
He wants to add another Connections. And we see an end of turn Faded Retribution. That's going to clean up the rats. We see Simon quickly tap 3 lands. That's a Detention Sphere. That's a big swing for Simon. Scries to the bottom. And Simon passes. So now Loren is going to have to play an honest game. No more card drawing for the time being. So Lightbane Zombie here reveals a hand of Aetherling, Detention Sphere, Sphinx's Revelation, Divination, and Celestial Flare.
You can keep them all.
So is the coast clear next turn for Aetherling?
I don't know. I kind of just would want to Sphinx's Revelation again. And what's the hurry? Is that so wrong?
I suppose that Lauren presumably has a lot of removal spells you'd have to slog through as well.
Yep.
Aetherling wouldn't be able to kill him for a while.
Yep. I mean, he's got to have something in his hand.
And it's probably creature removal.
Probably is.
And here's a Gray Merchant.
He's not a great merchant, but he is a gray merchant.
That's a drain for 4. It looks like Simon is about to deploy Aetherling. I mean, this is some risky business, right? If Lauren is able to find a discard spell next turn, we could have a game.
Ladies and gentlemen, just a quick reminder that we've got about 30 minutes left on registration for the Legacy Open.
All right, big untap for Lauren here.
This is Legacy Open and have not yet registered. Come up to the stage.
It is a swamp.
We'll get you registered really quickly and get you back to whatever you're doing.
Lifebane Zombie comes in. Simon says that's fine, does not want to use Celestial Flare here. Another Gray Merchant actually might be able to steal this one for Lauren as well.
Yeah, I mean, if he can just assemble enough direct damage. The problem, of course, as soon as Simon Revelations again, it'll quickly be out of reach.
Lauren passes the turn.
Is it an Elspeth?
Yep. Here comes Aetherling. Lauren very quickly chump blocks with Gray Merchant.
Interesting. He wasted no time cashing that one in.
And it feels like he needs to try to do something to keep his devotion count high here. Because he's not going to be able to win this game through conventional means. It has to involve Gray Merchant.
It's tricky, too, because he has so many fogs in his hand.
Yeah. All right, in response to Aetherling trying to come back in, Lauren's going to Devour Flesh. That's going to send Aetherling back. And Lauren untaps. Draws a Mutavault. Fires up Mutavault and Lifebane Zombie. And if Lauren was going to take this line of play to try to pin down the Aetherling to attack, then the chump block with the Gray Merchant last turn is even more odd.
Seems a little hasty.
All right, here comes a Revelation for 5. Are they saying that Simon missed the Aetherling trigger?
Oh, wow.
I'm not sure. Okay, no, we're good. I was about to say, that's a way for Lauren to come back, certainly.
Jeez. Wow, that was... Yeah. If we were on a boat, the ship almost got real.
Yeah. But instead, everything's fine. Aetherling untaps. Here's a Detention Sphere.
Everything is fine all the time in Sphinx's Revelation land.
Simon just moves those spheres off to the side. No risk of them getting blown up here. And here comes Aetherling.
Aetherling says hello.
You can really see the issue with the glut of ineffective cards that Lauren has game 1. Nolen animates his Mutavault in an attempt to block. Simon says, I'll make Aetherling unblockable. Says, I'm going to pump it 3 times. That's enough to get a hero's downfall out of Nolen. Simon's going to phase out the Aetherling. And play passes back. Aetherling's back. Nolen draws as a Thoughtseize.
A little late.
Thoughtseize resolves. It's going to dissolve 3 lands, among them a Mutavault, an Elspeth, a Divination, and a Celestial Flare.
Nolen is running out of opportunities to make forward progress here.
Yeah.
I mean, the Aetherling is just...
Shuts down
the footsteps.
Shuts down too much stuff. Nolen just can't attack on the ground anymore. Those Mutavaults, completely ineffective.
If he just had a little bit more going for him, you know, if he was like drawing an extra card each turn or something.
Yeah. Losing those 2 connections was just too much. Even with the connections, it's not clear he would have been able to muster enough power to slide through an Aetherling, but without them, he has very little chance. And right now, 2 Swamps, Lifebane Zombie, Hero's Downfall. He's fought gamely given how many revelations that Simon's resolved here, but just running out of resources. Here's the Lifebane Zombie. And now Nolen running out of time.
He's fought long and hard, but
Yep.
I think game 1 is going to go to blue-white unless we see a pretty miraculous next couple of turns. I mean, he's got, what, one Hero's Downfall left for his Fogs, and he knows his opponent has 2 counterspells.
Aetherling once again being made unblockable. Some pumps here. This is for 6. This sets up Aetherling to be lethal next turn. Nolen again uses Hero's Downfall. Simon saves his Aetherling, plays a Mutavault. Does he even bother with Divination, or does he leave his mana? He says, I'm not even going to Divinate. And
Nothing he's hoping to draw. He's got it all under control. He just wants that Syncopate to be, oh no, he doesn't have it anymore.
Another Hero's Downfall for Nolen. It's another Fog.
I mean, he is getting in there for 3, so that's something.
Well,
the problem is Celestial Flare.
Yeah, I mean, he has to fire up Mutavaults to even be able to do that, and then he potentially loses his whole board. They are fired up. I mean, he can Hero's Downfall and try to push through some damage here.
Yeah, I mean, if he attacks with 2 Mutavaults and a Lifebane Zombie, he can get Simon to 6. A Grey Merchant, I mean, Nolen could potentially be knocked to 8 if Aetherling does another 6-point hit. A Grey Merchant for 4 would buy Nolen 1 more turn and knock Simon low enough that another Grey Merchant could potentially win in this game.
All right, here comes some animation of Mutavaults. Hero's Downfall is going to target one of the Mutavaults. So Simon goes ahead and moves to block. Aetherling in front of a Mutavault. Mutavault's looking to trade. And still inside of combat, uses Celestial Flare to take care of the Lifebane Zombie. So Nolen got Simon down to 6, but now he is just on Swamps in hand and in play.
What do you think about the Heroes downfalling the Mutavault before blocks?
I was not a fan of it when he had a second Mutavault left over.
Right. I mean, that's one less fog, right?
Yep. All right, looks like now Simon's going to divinate. Has dissolve.
And we're on to game 2.
Simon Stahl wins game 1, 1-0. Lauren kept a risky one lander, actually battled back quite a bit, but Sphinx's Revelation, Aetheling proved to be a little bit too much, at least for game 1. Things will definitely change during the sideboard games. Welcome back to the booth. Patrick Sullivan, Patrick Chapin, finals of the StarCityGames.com Standard Open here in Detroit. It is trivia question time.
Absolutely. All right.
Well, I got to give the disclaimer first.
Yes, please, go ahead.
So, Patrick here will ask you a question. You will tweet your answer at SCG Live, hashtag SCG Premium. Of the correct responders, one will be chosen at random for a full year of Star City Games premium content. It's about accuracy and not speed, so don't worry about being the first person to get an answer in. Just answer correctly. Make sure that you are following us on Twitter so we can get the prize to you. And remember that this contest is at the full discretion and control of StarCityGames.com. Twitch is in no way affiliated with any contests given out on their streams.
All right. Yesterday, we saw a Rug Planeswalker deck. Rug Monsters, Rug Planeswalkers, that was using Domri Rod. It was using Chandra Pyromaster. It was using Kiora, and it was using Jace Architect of Thought. It had one more Planeswalker. What was that 5th Planeswalker in the main deck of that red, blue, green Planeswalker deck that people are talking about getting a lot better because of the new set?
Yep, a couple of hits for that trivia question. It is a blue-red Planeswalker from Dragon's Maze. So tweet your answer at SCG Live, hashtag SCG Premium.
It's not from Dragon's Maze. He's throwing you off the scent. It's from Gate Crash.
Hashtag is tweet at SCG Live, hashtag SCG Premium.
Make sure to be following us.
One of you will be chosen at random for a full year of Star City Games premium content. So, moving on to the sideboards here. Game 1, we anticipated this would favor blue-white control. A lot of dead cards in the Mono Black Devotion list. Post-board, things changed quite a bit.
It's not really from Gate Crash. All right, yeah, I mean, post-board, the single biggest change is that Nolen gets to take out his Bile Blight, his Ultimate Price, his Devour Flesh, 6 easy cuts to replace with the 2 Erebos God of the Dead and 4 Duress. Real solid upgrade. We're talking 6 A+ cards, replacing 6 Stone Blanks.
Yep.
On the other side, Simon Stahl. Simon looking to do only relatively minor tweaking. I mean, he has access to Jace Memory Adept, and Planeswalkers are often solid against the Devotion, like the Mono Black deck. I guess not the best against Planeswalkers. I mean, it has obviously creatures and Hero's Downfall, but Jace Memory Adept a totally reasonable option. What do you think about Revoke Existence to give him one more answer to the connections?
Love it, especially with Erebos coming in the post-board games as well. So yeah. Revoke is, it's the best answer here to the best cards that Lauren is presenting besides the discard spells.
And then finally, Pithing Needle, kind of a fringe option. I mean, its primary application, you can name whatever land the Underworld Connections is on, but you also have the option to potentially name Mutavault or Pack Rat if times are tough.
Yeah, I think the Needle comes in. I think
Erebos too, in the right circumstance.
Yeah, I think the Needle is legitimate here. Again, it answers Erebos and Underworld Connections, the 2 cards you're most concerned about. The Jace, quite good. The Revoke, quite good. I think the Negates are even reasonable. So a lot of solid cards to bring in here for Simon.
Yeah, I mean, obviously the primary job there is hitting an Underworld Connections, but you do sometimes hit a Thoughtseize or a Duress, and it's not out of the question to hit a Hero's Downfall.
Yeah, all really Simon needs to do is win the battle over the card advantage cards.
Right.
Assuming that, there's 2 paths that Lauren can win the game. It's generate a lot of card advantage through Erebos and Underworld Connections, or use Thoughtseize and Duress to render Simon's hand non-functional and just win with random creatures.
Right.
The first path being the most reliable, the second happening some percentage of the time, but not being the primary game plan.
AKA the backup plan.
The backup plan. Duress and Thoughtseize, your answers to Desecration Demon, try to kill you with Desecration Demon. Not a great game plan, but something else that can happen. Are you a fan of Staff of the Death Magus in the sideboard? Not for this matchup, of course, but
yeah,
just as a
I
general.
think in this matchup it's tough because, like, I mean, well, it does effectively hold off a Mutavault.
And you need to race their life gaining with Sphinx's Revelation as well. You know, it's very valuable in that regard.
Yeah, and the problem though I think is that, I mean, Simon's boarding in Revoke Existence anyway. You could potentially get rid of the staff. Plus, like, Aetherling doing 8 a turn, I think just is generally going to be too fast for the staff to keep up with.
Right, you need to have a lot of staffs in play to be able to race that.
Yeah, or Elspeth's the other big one, because like Elspeth becomes cumulative, doing 3 more each turn. So realistically, unless you're adding 3 or 4 staffs to the board each turn, you're going to start falling behind. And that's not even counting the ultimate.
But you've spoken
high
of this card praises.
Oh yeah. Staff of the Death Magus is instrumental in defeating the Boros Burn deck, and it also happens to be good against mono red aggro.
I've not had that experience thus far.
Of beating Boros Burn?
No, of
needing it.
Of it being good against me.
Oh, you're saying with the
mono red aggro
like a
deck.
Burning Tree Emissary with your Gore House Chainwalker deck?
Correct. Every time they've cast it, it's been better than if they cast Lifebane Zombie that turn, but generally worse than if they had cast Hero's Downfall or Nightveil Spectre. Not that you're boarding out those cards, you know what I mean? I'm just in a relative sense.
There's about 15 minutes left in registration for the Legacy of
Lauren looking at another one-lander. 3 connections.
At least it's a temple.
He snaps it off again. And keeps it on top, so
It's promising.
either a lander or a 4th connections, I suppose.
So 1 more land and he is in business.
Yep, absolutely. Look at that hand, 3 connections, 2 Gray Merchants, and an Erebos. It's a big draw step coming right here. The worst one in the deck. Another copy of Erebos, passes the turn.
Lauren definitely trying to keep it interesting.
And there's a Pack Rat.
Had it.
And gets dissolved. Lauren's got to be thrilled with that.
Yeah. Pack Rat not at its best versus blue-white control.
Yep. I think Simon has Divination in hand, so he just wanted to cast something. Passes the turn. Thoughtseize the draw. Azorius Charm, Divination, Celestial Flare, Supreme Verdict, Sphinx's Revelation. How do you feel about not casting Divination last turn?
I don't like it. I mean, actually, I don't mind it, assuming that we didn't cast Dissolve the turn before. But I don't like the start with the Dissolve and then don't play the Divination. But it'll be all right. Works out here fine, too, because he's going to end up having to take the Sphinx's Revelation, most likely.
And he does. Lauren still without a 3rd land.
The nice thing about the not playing the Divination there, though, is that if Lauren had drew the land, he would have to be, respecting Dissolve, given that Simon so haphazardly threw a Dissolve away on a rat.
Yep. Here's the Divination. Finds an Azorius Charm and an Aetherling. Could this be yet another fast Aetherling game? Fast is a relative term, I suppose, in these.
I mean, depending on what your bar is, like.
There's a Nightveil Spectre. Moves to discard.
I mean, a Sloth moves pretty fast compared to a Glacier.
Right. Well, speed and movement are all kind of relative concepts.
Yeah.
There's a Howlethdown, a 6th land. Simon in no rush.
We are so close.
There it is. Land number 3 and a connections.
The quick turn 6 connections.
In response, goes ahead and draws a card with Azorius Charm, draws Sphinx's Revelation. goes Mutavault beatdowns.
Wow, without even a hesitation. And he even has the 7th land with a Sphinx's Revelation in hand.
And an Aetherling.
No care. No care at all.
There's a Revoke.
Yeah, he just wants to stop the counterplay.
And he can set up Aetherling next turn with 2 mana left over, which is much safer.
Or just a Revelations for 5.
Yeah. All right, another Connections. I like just ending it.
Dude, Revelations for 5 first. Play it safe. All right.
Yeah. These are my kind of beatdowns right here.
The safe. I mean, there is a certain safeness to playing in this order, though, which is to get the Aetherling down underneath any kind of Thoughtseize shenanigans.
Mm-hmm. There's some argument for going after his life total too, you know, with the Connections in play.
Yeah, that's what this matchup's about. You gotta bring the beats.
Dude, I just can't help myself.
No, you can't. But you know what? Why would you want to?
Why? You have this Aetherling in your deck, you're gonna not cast it against an opponent with 3 lands in play. You got 2 mana up.
You went to all the trouble of playing with a creature.
Right.
You might as well serve.
Spent mana on it. You had to either open it in a booster pack or buy it from a dealer or trade it with your buddy or something. I mean, what are we talking about here? Got to get it going. And there's a second Connections.
It's a tough way to do it.
And Detention Sphere, the draw. So here is Detention Sphere.
Yeah, it is all falling apart for Lauren.
To the extent that it was ever built up in the first place, it is now all collapsing.
No, I mean, it's been building all weekend.
Oh, sure.
He's been on a tear.
Yeah, this is true.
You know, he's been playing fantastic, but a couple of one land keeps that didn't fully pan out. You know, I mean, at least we had games here, and this one's not over. But it's getting real rocky. I mean, Aetherling is a real tough one to come back from. What's Lauren got to do to put himself in a position to actually even have chances at this? I mean, now that he doesn't have the Connections.
Have Simon get up from the table and throw his Aetherling on the floor. That's where he starts. All right, here's an attack for 7.
So I'm thinking, so he draws an Underworld Connections, and no, he's got a Connection. So he's got a land and a Connections. He needs to draw a Doomblade type effect. Probably doesn't have a ton of them in his deck at this point.
Probably remove the Ultimate Price effect.
That's
There's
the hand.
Yep.
Simon Stahl wins 2-0 over Lauren Nolen. An excellent showing from both of these players.
Yeah, Lauren with a great weekend. Again, former Invitational champion.